Hi, everyone. Welcome to The Path to Reason. I'm your host, Cindy Plaza, and today we're going to trash talk about the US. I'm kidding. We are going to talk about the many issues the US has right now because a lot happened in the last 3 months and even further than that since 2016. But this has been adding to everything that's going on right now, and I needed this to do this episode because I need to take this out. It's so frustrating to me what's happening all over the US. Um, and more importantly, it's frustrating because so many Americans think their country is the greatest on earth. I've heard that again 3 or 4 times yesterday. So I want to give some perspective to everyone, and so they were able to compare what happens in their country in the US as opposed to what happens in the rest of the world. And by the rest of the world, I mean, of course, the industrialized countries. So I've had I wrote several topics, and so I'm going to start with the first one is corruption. So there is a high level of corruption in the government of the US. In fact, if you look for the corruption level in countries, the US is definitely not in the first countries. And that's, for example, if you go to transparency.org, they have a corruption index. And they have actually several results that I'm going to use here. The US is 27. After Chile, after Taiwan, after Bhutan, after the United Arab Emirates, and after basically most European countries and New Zealand, which is first. So the corruption takes place when private interests are able to influence what political decisions are made. And we know that there is a lot of corporate money that goes into politics. We know that the NRA, for example, gives a lot of money to many people on both sides, but mostly Republican. All big companies and private interests as well, like the Koch brothers, they are heavily invested financially in the in the politics in the US. And there's even this idea that a company can buy a senator by funding their campaign, and then once the senator is there, then it's very easy to be renewed as a senator than it is to take a new seat. So that causes obviously an issue for middle and lower classes because their interests are not represented. Of course, this is not a singly US issue, but other countries have tools to mitigate it. For example, in France, the amount of money a company and a private person can give um, to someone's campaign is very limited. And after the elections, the campaign spendings are checked by a specific committee, which is not political. And then, uh, if this committee decides that the fundings and the spendings are okay, then the government repays the person or the party to for what they spent during the campaign. And I think that this is an interesting concept because on one side you have a limitation on the money that comes in, and on the other side you have a strong incitation to be clear and open about how you spend your money, because if you're not, then you will not be reimbursed for your spendings. I'm pretty sure we can find much better systems, but I don't think the US will be able to get rid of that corruption unless they put very strong limitations to private money given to politicians. And I know that those donations are public. You can watch them online, but that's not enough. That's not enough because look at Ted Cruz, for example. After Uvalde, he went on and on and on to defend the right to carry an AR-15, and that wouldn't happen if he were paid by the NRA, most likely. So this money has a direct impact on legislation or the lack of legislation. So yeah, that was the first point I wanted to address. The second one is racism, which is extremely strong in the US, and it's institutional also, which is much less the case in other countries. Like France, again, has a racism issue, but it's much less prevalent than in the US, and it's almost no institutionalized. So this racism issue takes form of redlining, takes form of when you want to sell your house, if there is any indication that a black family was living there, then the price will be divided often by two. And this goes in every aspect of the society. Basically, 3 of the 4 points I'm going to address after that, they are impacted by racism, and maybe the fourth as well. So the only way this systemic issue is solved is by being recognized in the first place. And I don't see that happening as long as the Christofascism has such a stronghold in the US. And again, since these Christofascists are already in place in the government and they're trying to do everything they can to stay in power and make sure they will never leave, then uh, I don't want to sound too pessimistic, but I don't see this systemic racism issue um, go away in the near future. Still, it's very, very important for everyone to fight it, because even if you change one person's mind, that's one vote. And if you add this, at some point you can get some small changes, if even if it's at the local level, because we need to start. And when I say we, I mean everyone in every country. If we want to solve any issue, we need to start at the lower level. And it's even stronger in the US, because there is this federalism issue where states have quite a lot of power compared to the federal government. So you need to help people who work towards this, like Black non-believers, like all those associations that try to, at the same time, help people who are discriminated, and at the same time reveal and show this that this is a systemic issue. So yeah, that's a very big issue, and we're going to talk about it more in detail later. The third point I wanted to address is police training. So there's been a lot recently that showed that the police training in the US is, I don't know how to describe it, but it's out of touch with reality and with everything that other policies do. We and when I say we, I mean a lot of people discovered recently that the police in the US doesn't have a legal mandate to protect people. And so when they don't, they are not liable. And that's, I think, the first step that needs to change. Because if they're not there to protect people, then why are they here? That's the basic role of the police, is to protect people. And if your population doesn't feel like you are protected by the police, then they will feel like they need to be protected in some other way, like guns. So recently we've seen, so Uvalde, what happened is the cops didn't want to come in while the shooter was killing children because they were afraid to die. Another example, a couple days ago, where a cop watched a woman drown because he didn't know what to do. Apparently, his training didn't tell him how he was supposed to act. And then there's police brutality. There's the over militarization of the police. There's the feeling that they're above the law, that this cowboy mentality. There's so many issues with the police that it's amazing that no one realizes it. I mean, 2 days ago in France, a guy in his car refused to stop for a control by the police, and so he started accelerating, and he became very dangerous. And so the police that was on the driving way, they started shooting to stop the car because they were in danger. And one of the shot killed the woman who was the passenger. And There is a lot of outcry right now in France. Some people defending the police, some people um, saying that they should be accountable, and they are. There's already an investigation, and that happens every single time that someone dies shot by a cop. Then the investigation does what it does, whether it finds the cops guilty or not, but the investigation starts always, every single time. So that's if the policy doesn't feel they are accountable, they get out of control, and it's not anymore a problem of a few bad apples. It's the entire basket of apples that's rotten. So you can't do a proper job in an institution with bad policing. That's that's just not possible, because there the incentive for good cops to work properly is extremely limited by the fact that they're surrounded by cops who don't. And if they try to do the right thing and denounce bad actions, then they're set away. And I can tell from experience that um, working in a group of people where you are working with them almost 24/7, and being set aside from this group, it's extremely painful and hard to live. So the system needs to change, and for that the training needs to change. And it's funny because the US Army sends soldiers all over the world to train uh, other armies. But in this case, in the police case, they in my opinion, they need to receive police from other countries and learn. But that won't happen, because they don't believe they're doing anything wrong. And there's this, again, this USA. The US is the greatest country on earth. We have nothing to learn from others. So it's this indoctrination that the country has been under basically since 1945. This needs to be addressed. You cannot solve the problems in the US if you don't address this indoctrination. Because, again, if you think you're the best, then you have no reason to look around and see what other people do, because you have nothing to learn if you're the best, right? So, yeah, that's another issue that's extremely impacting. And when you mix that with corruption and racism, that means that a lot of Black people, Latino people are killed very often for no reason, just because the color of their skin. And then corruption makes that those cops never face any consequences. The next topic I wanted to address is voting. In France and in Belgium, anyone who has the French or the Belgian nationality, respectively, is automatically registered to vote. So you can vote by mail, you can vote on internet, you can vote in a booth. But everyone, including people in prison can vote, because we think that the ability to vote is a duty, not a right. And in Belgium, voting is even mandatory. It's not the case in France, but it's a right in a sense that it's something we had to fight for, but it's also a responsibility, and it is fundamentally unfair for people to live somewhere and then they don't have the capability to influence what's happening to them and around them. And that's why everyone has the right to vote here. And I don't understand how the US went to this concept that voting is a privilege. I just don't understand that. If you live in a city, you should be able to have a say on how the city is managed. If you live in a country, you should have the right to influence how the country is managed. And you cannot do that unless you have the right to vote. So preventing people to vote is another way, another level of corruption, because this way only those who agree with you will vote, and so you will stay in power. And this concept you have in the US, like gerrymandering, like voter suppression, they don't exist in Europe. It's mind-boggling to see that districts can be changed just like that, and yeah, this black people area will divide them and split them into white areas so that they have nothing to say. Laws that prevent people from bringing drink or food to people waiting in line to vote. That's, I mean, from my perspective, when I heard that, I thought it was a joke, but it's not, and it's unimaginable how people can go for this, and how people don't revolt, because voting is associated to your nationality and where you live. In in France, if I'm not mistaken, and also in Belgium, even if you don't have the French nationality or the Belgian nationality, you can vote on local elections, not the main election, the presidential elections, but local elections, because, as I said, where you live, you should have the ability to have a say on how it's managed. And so, if you live here, then you're able to vote at the conscription level. And I think that should be the norm everywhere. It's astonishing to me that the more time passes, the more or the least people are able to vote, and that's only going to get worse if November doesn't go the way I hope it will, like a massive blue wave, because there is a concerted effort by Trump and his cronies to limit the voters to Republican voters, because they know that for at least 20 years, if if ballots were counted individually, and the main election was not made by this stupid system, but by direct election, then there wouldn't have been any Republican president in the last at least 20 years. Bush didn't win the popular vote. Trump didn't either. Most of the population in the U.S. Tends to be Democrat or Democrat leaning, and so the only way Republicans can win is by cheating, gerrymandering, and voter suppression, and they know it, and they've been increasing their efforts to increase that. I'm going to make a pause and say hi to everyone in the chat. Hi, Askelon. Thanks for always being here. Hi, Kat. Hi, Askelon again. Hi, Wes. I hope you guys are doing great. If you have any question or comment, don't hesitate. Yes, this is a good point, and it's worth also for the military, of course. But police spending is out of control because cops are assumed to solve all issues. Like if someone has a mental breakdown, they will send the police. If any issue, they will send the police. When in reality, we know that cops are just human. They cannot solve all issues. And so we need to have, like it's the case in most European countries, we don't send cops unless there's a crime happening or an injury. Like if you have a car accident, cops come only if there is an injury on any side. So I know that defund the police is a very bad way to say it. It should be move some of the spending on the police to other more important issues like healthcare, mental health care directed, like sending the right kind of people to solve the right kind of problem, and not just saying cops and let them do what they can. And most of the time, they're not equipped mentally or physically to deal with the issue. So yes, police spending is definitely out of control. So I just mentioned healthcare, so that's where I'm going next. Hi, Big Zebra. There are a lot of videos on internet, on YouTube, where you can see Americans reacting to European healthcare. You have dozens of videos like this, and that there's a reason behind this. It's because the American system is preposterous. It's extremely expensive. It's extremely it's not reliable. It's not effective. It's not efficient as well. Basically, it has probably all the all the flaws you can find in a medical system. You all know that in most of Europe countries, we have a single payer system, and it's free for most of the medical issues you can have, um, because health is one of the basic needs of humans. Like it's like water, it's like food over your head, it's like a roof. Sorry, roof over your head. It's like food. It's a basic need, and so we believe that it's the state responsibility to provide those necessary needs, because we've seen and we see it right now in the US that you cannot trust private companies to do this. Uh, when you compare the prices of medicine in the US and in Europe, you have a difference of 2, 3, 5, 10, sometimes 300%, uh, which is insane. You have people dying because they cannot afford a simple medicine. You have people who die of diabetes because they can't afford um, to buy their medication, or they have to ration it, and then it gets not enough, and so they die because of that. The U.S. has a very high uh, uh, childbirth rate, a very high uh, mother death in childbirth or in pregnancy. The life expectancy is lower than most of industrialized countries. Every single measurement you can use to compare the healthcare in countries, the US is much, much worse than everyone else. Um, and what to me, what is the worst is that Americans pay a lot on premiums and healthcare in general, and they get nothing out of it. Um, in Europe, we have taxes that are directly used for to fund the healthcare, but we have a result in compensation. We can go to a hospital and pay nothing. You in the U.S., a pregnancy can cost up to $60,000. In France, it doesn't cost not anything, and that's how it should be. I don't understand how uh, crazy the capitalist mentality has to become in order for not an entire but population to say, okay, I want to pay thousands of dollars every year, but when I need health, then I can't afford it because it's too expensive anyway. That's that's a big mystery to me. Um, I understand the corruption behind it, the healthcare lobby that's behind it. I remember how Obama struggled to get his Obamacare passed. How many uh, concessions he had to make to get some of it. It's it's unbelievable that the richest country on the planet cannot afford to pay medication for its people. That's just insane. Um, then I wanted to talk about yes, That's actually that was the point. The next point I was going to talk about. Um, but first, I wanted to show another chart from um, which one is it? World Population Review. Uh, so the next topic I wanted to address is freedom, because that's a word that's used a lot by Americans, much more than in other countries. And very often, when you ask an American, how can you say that your country is the best in the world? Yeah, we have the best freedom. Well, no. The freedom index shows that the U.S. is after the United Kingdom, Norway, Iceland, Netherlands, Luxembourg, Sweden, Australia, Finland, Canada, Ireland, Estonia, Denmark, New Zealand, and Switzerland. So, no, the US doesn't have the best freedom in the world. In fact, it's quite the opposite, because the basic rule in a society is the golden rule. It's not the golden rule, but my freedom ends where your freedom starts. And so, if you're only focused on your freedom and not how your freedom infringes on other people's freedom, then it can only lead to chaos. Like, my freedom to have a gun is uh, stronger than your freedom to, or your kid's freedom to go to school without being scared for his life every day. And in other countries, we also focus on duties. You have rights, but you also have duties. This seems to not exist in the US. Everyone speaks about freedom, but where is freedom when when your kids have to uh, make an exercise every month to know where they will have to go if a shooter gets into the school? Where is freedom when just going to the grocery can get you killed? When even going to a funeral for a person who was just shot can also get you shot, like it happened a couple of weeks ago. Where is the freedom here? It's uh, it's insane that selfishness has such a stronghold in the US, because yes, I'm going to talk about this as well later. Um, you cannot live in a society if you only care about your own rights. Uh, if you want to do that, you can go on an island, live alone, and then you will have all the rights in the world. But if you want to enjoy the benefits of the society, like having internet, like going to the grocery and having food and not having to hunt for it or grow it, those freedoms only only come with the price of your freedom's limitation. You you cannot say, okay, I want all freedom, and I don't care if my freedom uh, overrides yours. That's not how society works, and uh, I think that's a concept that's alien to many Americans. Um, there was also this topic I wanted to talk about. It's the great replacement theory that we've heard a lot recently. And so basically, it says that there is a cabal of uh, rich people, Jewish people, to replace white population by brown or black population. Uh, this came from French Nazi, basically in the 70s or the 80s. And since then, it's been taken. This concept has been taken by pretty much all far right groups in Europe and in the US. So, um, yeah, I tend to agree. Um, so this is this is probably the hardest conspiracy to debunk uh, because there is the fact is that in the West, the white population has a lower birth rate than the other populations, and that's a fact that's measured. That has plenty of explanations, but this is translated by the far right to yes, someone is doing this on purpose to remove the rights of white people, and that's just stupid. And what is ironic here is that one of the reasons, at least in the US, um, why white natality is so low is because of the cost of pregnancy. And so, if you really wanted to solve this issue of lower birth rate, then you would make it easier for women and more convenient for women to have children. Like you would make sure that they are able to go through their pregnancy with the medication they need and the doctor appointments they need. You would make sure that they the cost of all this is significantly lower. You would make sure that women can have children and this shouldn't have any impact on their career. You would make sure that fathers also can participate in taking care of the children in the first years, like other countries do. We have uh, in France, I think it's 15 days for the father. That's mandatory for everyone, and then there's the father can take the leaves, the maternity leaves. I don't remember if it's instead or with the mother. So there are solutions for this if you really want uh, this to be mitigated. Then you need to address the root causes. But I guess this is socialism, and that's bad, right? Um, yes, conspiracy theories and their proliferation is a strategy used by Christian reconstructionists to foment distrust in government and perpetuate the idea of rugged individualism. I think it's also a direct consequence of my next topic is the anti-education and anti-intellectualism force that's extremely strong in the US. Like the yes, it is. It's shocking. Uh, so there's been a trend since I would say since Reagan to push ideas no matter if they're true or not, and lower education as much as possible so that people cannot tell the difference anymore between reality and fiction. Uh, we know that religion has an impact on this. There has been several studies that showed that when religion is taught to children from 4 to 6 years old, that tends to lower their capability to distinguish fiction from reality. And so, when you have an entire country that's based on fiction all the time, like this, America is the greatest country on earth, like America is are better than everyone. America is the light of the world. Um, I will answer this in a minute. There's a story behind this. Um, Betsy DeVos working for 4 years, very very hard uh, to slash the funding of public schools so that more money can be put in private schools. And one of the reasons for that is that because in public schools you cannot force the teaching of Christianity because it's public and it's against the First Amendment. But if you make more um, private schools than public schools, then you have much more freedom to teach whatever you want. Um, and also, if you own a company that has hundreds of private schools, then yeah, that's a nice bonus for you, right? Um, so yeah, this entire intellectualism has been booming, exploding since Trump came came into power, uh, and it's it's scary. It's scary because I think it was in 2019 or 2018. Uh, China went first and took the US's place in science. They in the number and quality of scientific publications, the US had been first for quite a long time, and now China is first. Um, and that's a huge sign, whether it's geopolitically, whether it's socially. It's a big sign that China is getting dangerous on pretty much every front. And if the richest country on earth is getting dumber and dumber every generation, or sorry, not dumber, but less educated than than the rest of the world, then that's not a good thing for everyone. So this anti-intellectualism, how can we fight it? Um, well, we need to have more YouTube channels like mine. We need to have more people trying to teach not only facts but also how to think, because that's the major problem everywhere. It's the lack of rational thinking taught in schools. Um, I think that's something that we can push forward, the teaching of rational thinking in schools. and that could have a long-term effect, positive effect. And so, if we want to mitigate all those issues, uh, we need, and I know I've said this 1,000 times, but we need to teach rational thinking in schools. Um, so, yeah, it is dangerous. You saw what happened during COVID, people drinking bleach and taking horse medication. Uh, and why did that happen? It's because in the US, more than anywhere else, uh, authority and information are extremely linked, because um, there is this strong Christian heritage uh, that teaches us that God is the source of all information. And so, this mentality that someone can be a reference when it comes to information, whatever information it is, but this moves towards politics and entertainment, like uh, about the halo effect. When you have a positive view on someone, then this will affect your judgment on everything they say, even if it's not in their area of expertise. So yeah, this perception that information come from someone and not um, from research and experimentation and repeatability of results. That's something that needs to be fought very, very strongly, um, because that leads to what Escalon was saying, uh, the idea that if Trump says something, then it's true by definition, and that's very dangerous. Yes, I think I don't think it's just a Western issue. I think it's a world issue. Um, Maybe some countries are better at it, but yeah, I think it's a world issue, not a Western issue. So I think I said everything I had to say. Um, if you guys have any question, now is the time. Um, I'm trying to figure out if I forgot something. I probably did. Um, but yeah, I hesitated to do this video for almost 4 weeks, because I was afraid of coming out um, as arrogant, like Europe is better than the US, which is not my point and not what I think, uh, or even yes, the octopus. I'll come to it. Um, so I am every time I'm invited on a show to speak about a problem in the US, I'm scared to um, to be seen as anti-American, um, and I guess that in a way, for some people, it's inevitable that they see me like this. Um, but yeah, the reason why I talk about this is the frustration caused by the rift between uh, um, the perception the American people has about themselves and the reality. and that's the core of the issue. That's the core of the reason why I did this video. It's the reason why I go to those shows and try to explain and expose um, those issues. It's not because I think the US is a bad country. Every country has its problem. Um, the only thing with the US is that they have so much money, and yet they don't try to solve all those issues. Um, and that's what frustrates me and frustrates many people, including people in the US. So yeah, that was my view. I'm not saying, and even if I said it earlier, I corrected myself because it was wrong. I don't think the US people is more stupid than the people in other countries. I think it's an education problem, and I always try to make the distinction between intelligence and knowledge, because they are two very, very separate things. So yes, these guys. So about a month ago, I think, a friend of mine on Twitter said, when talking about trans people, someone said, "How? Why can't I be an octopus?" And that's an argument, a pseudo argument that's very often used by transphobes. It's a way to dismiss this feeling we have that we are born in the wrong body. And like in a debate with between Matt Dillahunty and I don't remember who the other guy. Maybe it was Ray Comfort. I'm not sure. The other guy says, "Yeah, if someone claim they want to be a woman, then why can't I be a frog?" And so I made an episode specific to respond to this question, and for that episode, I wanted to have a visual representation of gender, because gender is a social construct and it's not linked to biology. Like if you see those two, you instinctively know that this one is a male and this one is a female. Blue, pink. Uh, um, this on the hair, a hat for the men. What else? Uh, the eyes are different, more expressive for the women. The mouth is different as well. So I was looking for something to visually show how gender and biology are not related. And so I went on Amazon and looked for toys or anything like that. And I found those, and they were perfect because the question was, why can I be an octopus? And uh, and so I found two of them to explain my point. So that was funny and on topic. So that's, and so now I keep them here because I think they're nice. And I can take them back quickly if I need to make again the same point. So that's the story behind the octopus. Yes, and in other cultures, not only colors but numbers are associated to some genders. In in other cultures, there are more than two genders, and it's I understand the difficulty to get your head around this concept if it's not explained to you. I mean, it's not in yeah, yeah, they are. It's not like sex can be easily understood. If you look at two naked people, you can say if one is a man and one is a woman. And even though now we know that even this binary distinction is not real, that it's more like a model separation than a binary one. It's still visual. I mean, usually women have breasts, men don't, and there are those physical characteristics then that people can see right away, and this can help make the concept of sex, biological sex, understood. But gender is much more difficult to apprehend, and even when you explain the concept of gender, there is still the question of if this is a social construct, how can a child, a very young child, be a biological male and feel like they are biological or female gender? And that's a very, very complicated answer because we don't know all the answers. But we have some, and they are pretty convincing. So if you want to understand more of this, you can go and look at the video I made on this topic. Yeah, I think Ray Comfort can be can be called very, very different names, and they will all apply. I've rarely seen so much intellectual dishonesty in one person. It's crazy. So thanks everyone for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the talk. I hope I wasn't too hard on the US. I hope my view were rational and proven by facts and numbers. That's how I try to be all the time. So in the near future, so in 3 hours, I will be debating abortion on a channel called I don't remember the name right now. Just give me a second. It's Factitionalist Network. I'll add the link below, but it's already I already sent it on YouTube, on Facebook, and Twitter. Then tomorrow I will be on the Women Atheist Unload to talk about gun control. And on Sunday evening, I will be on the non-profits to talk about, again, gun control and the Uvalde mass shooting. Um, so thanks everyone. I hope you enjoyed this. And as always, if you want me to talk about a specific topic, just send me a message and I will look into it. If I said something wrong, same thing, just send me a message and tell me this is wrong, and I will correct it. In the meantime, I hope you all have a nice weekend. And if you want to help my channel, you will have in the description below an Amazon wishlist where you can purchase a book that will help me study more certain topics. And I'm reconsidering creating a few Patreon levels, but I'm still undecided. I know I've been going on and off about this since I created the channel, but some things have changed, and I would like to move to a bigger apartment so that I can have a better setup, and so I will need a little bit more money to be able to afford this. So maybe not. We'll see. In the meantime, have everyone have a very nice weekend. See you next time.